Well, hi, everyone. I am very pleased today to be here with David Friedman, who is the president of Tech Coast Angels. Very excited to have you today, David, and looking forward to finding out a little bit more about your story and how you got to be, the president of Tech Coast Angels. So maybe let's start off, David, by just telling me a little bit about your background and how you ended up kind of the journey into this role as president of Tech Coast Angels.
Well, I think it's a journey into being an angel investor. But, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, Jerry. It's always good to see you again. I'm glad to reconnect after this
Absolutely.
craziness with COVID. I'm a tech executive. I have a couple of double E degrees. I haven't used them in a long time. They're in electromagnetic theory, so it's pretty quant. And then I went back and got an MBA in econometrics, also pretty quant. And I learned over the years in the corporate world that what I really like to do is build new products, commercialize new products, and do things that are innovative. So the innovation side fits in well with the startup community. So in my career, I developed a lot of products, put them into the market, pretty new novel stuff like internet on airplanes, some work on telematics, software-defined networks in the early stages of my life. But when during the 2008 2009 debacle with the recession, I was in the corporate world, and we got our company was sold off, and I decided, at that time, I'll do consulting. And at the time, I was also involved with another gentleman, Dave McNeil, who ran a production called Ion Productions, and they wanted me to do a segment on startups. I had joined TechCoast Angels in 2009. Gives you, that as a start point. And I started a segment called Street Savvy Business, and then I said, with my corporate experience and with my, the stuff on the Spectrum, I think it was Spectrum TV. Might as well write a book. I wanted to give my kids an opportunity to see that the dad did something other than just go to work, or, as my wife puts it, go out to coffee with a bunch of, people and just, kibitz all the time. So I wrote a book a couple of years ago, and the show ended, but I became a consultant with the Small Business Development Center at the same time that I continued working with TCA in Orange County. So again, I've been an investor with them for almost 11, 12 years now, since 2009, and been relatively active. My philosophy had always been invest in funds and supplement it with sidecars, because I didn't have initially a huge portfolio. So I decided, well, why not invest in a fund, supplement it with sidecars in the areas that I really like software, med tech, telematics, cyber, and that worked out really well. And this was early on when TCA had its ACE1, ACE2, ACE3 funds, and I was in ACE2 and ACE3. Then skip ahead, now TCA in LA, Orange County, San Diego, all of us have funds, and we're on our second or third fund, as we now go along. So it fitted perfectly, given where we are today, with what my philosophy was years ago. Prior to becoming president of TCA Orange County, I was very heavily involved in screening. I like to get out there. I like to look at deals. I like to talk to people. I like to try to help people. And then I became head of screening, and then vice president, and then a couple of years ago became president of TCA Orange County. It seems to be a natural evolution. They're 2-year terms, and I'll give my term up to the next president, but stay on the president's council and still be very active in the ecosystem, which I happen to love, and that's what I really want to champion.
Sure. That's fantastic. And I know you've been very active in, they will, I'm sure, miss you as president, but I know that your impact and your presence will still be there after you leave your role as president, as you mentioned. So that's great. Talk a little bit about TechCoast Angels and their thesis and what they're looking for in startups.
Sure. TCA has been around for probably about 24 years now. We are one of the early early angel investors. we call Tech Coast, we invest in a variety of different areas. If I look at our portfolio, about 40% is life sciences, biopharma, med tech, but we have a lot of software, fintech, ed tech, martech. We do some work in consumer goods, but not a lot in consumer products. That's because we in TCA want to find some sustainable, differentiable moat that can be, clearly maintained over a period of time. But what we look for is a really strong team that has been together. We'd like to see a product with an underlying technology, because the technology, either people, process, or technology, will give you an advantage down the line. So the ideal is to have all three of those vectors fairly strong from a company point of view. But we are looking for a company that has sustainability, not necessarily the sustainability like green, although we're into that, we're interested in it, but it has to be sustained over a period of time. It has to be scalable, strong team, strong moat, good exit potential that will give us a potential 10, 15x exit within a period of time. So we're looking for valuations that are today lower than what maybe the entrepreneur wants, because we want to be able to manage our risk. And there's a lot of risk, as you know, Jerry, in angel investing. Only about 3 out of the 10 companies actually, will perform well enough to get some kind of a return. And we're betting on those 1 or 2 to really sustain ourselves.
Sure. Well, being you brought that up, David, how about you got a couple success stories to share from TechCoastAngels?
Yeah, I mean, the early one was Green Dot. They're still a public company, and that's great. Another one was Mind and Body, I believe. MindBody was another one. Another one was Sandpiper. They were taken out. More recently, Parcel Pending, which is an Orange County company, Lori Torres put together the company, and that one exited in about 3.5 years. And that one was in the automated locker business. Those are the biggies, the ones that, you say, wow, 22, 300, 100x, whatever the number is.
Sure.
But, others, a company that I was in called Paradigm Diagnostics was taken out after about 18 months, bought out by Exact Sciences. They did cancer screening. It varies. I mean, we've invested in, trying to remember what the numbers, around 300 companies. That's about 300 some $1 million in funding, or some egregiously high number.
Well, that's fantastic. And TechCoastAngels, has a great reputation as far as being a place to go that startups can look at for funding. And I know I've been involved with a few that have actually, presented to TechCoastAngels as far as getting them in front of you. What can you tell startups, as opposed, in the investor world? A lot of people think, okay, this investor invests money in the company, and then they sit back and hope that it makes a lot of, money. Tell me what TechCoastAngels does up and above just, writing out a check.
Yeah, and we don't want to do that. We want to be what we call smart money. We want to contribute to the success. And it's not only they come to us for money, and if we invest, we get active. We actually try to help the company when they come into from the application process and the pre-screening and the screening. Some of our members will get active because they're interested in the business, interested in the product. They may serve on the board. They may do consulting. They may do pro bono consulting. We always give feedback to the companies that come to us. We tell them what we like, the concerns. We try to give them advice and guidance. And because we're part of the ecosystem, we try to get them to the right ecosystem partner. One of the partners we have being the Small Business Development Center. So if they need additional work, they need to lay out their business model better, they need a better, go-to-market plan, we can always get them to one of our partners. But let's say we do invest in a company. So we have a couple of programs kind of like put on hold because of COVID, but we'll resurrect them. One is called the CEO Forum. We get the CEOs of our startups together. We try to help them in a peer group setting. Another one is called Marketing Angels. We get a variety. This was Gerard Miller's idea, which is a great idea. get a variety of us who have marketing, sales, business development experience, like your background, and we get together around the table and we go through their sales, marketing, business development plan and say, hey, if we did this, you should do this. Here are some people you want to be able to partner with. But that's the kind of help we give on an ongoing basis. But the goal, and some of us are on boards. I mean, if we invest enough, we'll be on the board, where we get a board observer seat. It just depends on how much money we invest, the kind of board structure they have. But we would like to be active. We believe we have a lot of capacity, what I call BQ, business intelligence, that can help a lot of the companies. And of the 500 plus members in TCA, we are bound to find somebody that has experience within that specific market space and maybe in that specific industry within the market.
Sure, that's fantastic. And I know you personally, you like the whole, if I remember correctly, you like to figure out that commercialization of technology, and how they can bring that to customers. That's kind of one of your sweet spots.
That's because I don't think I was the best engineer in the world, but what I have an ability to do is, I guess it's partly being an engineer, and I realize I'm actually relatively creative for a kind that's pretty quant. But I like to see how the technology can be applied, and I have a really keen sense of visualization. That's why I like that's why I like MedTech as well. But I'd like to see how the technology can be used and extended into different areas, new applications. And, the more it benefits society, the better off I feel. I mean, that would be really cool. Get a double bang.
Sure. And, and that's so valuable, because there's a lot of investors who don't have that tech background. So especially when you're part of an organization like TechCoastAngels, there's going to be investors that don't have that technology background, but they have people like you and other parts of your organization that do have that expertise. And so you have a whole pool of various investors of various differing backgrounds that can do the due diligence, do the deep dives, and vet out these companies and then establish who's best in helping support that company, correct?
Yeah. Well, we have several doctors, that are involved in our MedTech screening. So we have a group that actually does medical MedTech screening. Here, San Diego also has extremely vibrant, very high quality screening in the medical area and the life sciences. But there are a lot of really very, very smart people within TCA. That's the one thing that I noticed. I mean, all my colleagues, extraordinarily bright, willing to help. It's great. Keeps your mind sharp, and it makes you want to do better because you want to support your colleagues.
Sure.
It's a team effort, really. This is not an individual. It's very egalitarian.
Sure. And I know, as you know, I know a number of the TechCoastAngel LA chapter, not LA, but Orange County chapter. I did know some of them as well. But your chapter in OC, I do know a number of them, and I've attended your events and have been involved. And, you've got a great group of people there that are investing and supporting this ecosystem. So, I greatly appreciate your taking this time. One question kind of to end, the conversation here and wrap it up. But what is the one thing that if a startup is going to submit their information to TechCoastAngels or you, and also we want to know how they submit how do they submit their information? And we'll get it put in the notes or on screen, but how do they?
I mean, the easiest way to do that, everyone has to, well, first of all, no one has to do anything. I mean, if they want to submit to TCA, we start with an application. It's available through our new website. John Harbison worked on this and has a really cool new website. It tells you all the portfolio companies, our members, our background, our philosophy. It's extremely well done. Kudos to John. You can go on www.techcoastangels.com, go into entrepreneur. It says apply here. It's pretty easy to do. But the other way to get to us, you see us at meetings. We're always out into the ecosystem. If you want to, a lot of people send me deals directly, or they send me deals through LinkedIn. I'll take a look at them. I mean, there's no obligation. I don't even have to submit an application. If I know them, they're introduced to me by somebody. So if you have somebody, or Aish has somebody, and they say, hey, can you take a look at the deal? Yeah, send them over. We'll take a quick look. I mean, it's easy enough to do. long as it's not a 40-page written prose business case, it's going to drive me nuts. But, you know, we've gotten fairly good about looking at decks, and we can usually tell, you know, what box they're in. If it makes sense for us, makes sense for them, we can give some feedback. So
Sure.
it's easy to get to us or apply online, but that's the application online is the start of the formal process to go through the TCA process.
So what's that one piece of advice you can give a startup that wants to submit their information to you or Tech Coast Angels OC chapter, or anyone, you know, that's interested in investing in startups? What's that one piece of advice that you think would be most beneficial for that person when they do that initial reach out, whether it be via email, via LinkedIn, whatever? What's the one thing that would help you take a little more notice as opposed to just shuffling it off to the side as, you know, just a bunch of correspondence?
Well, I'm gonna sound old school in many ways.
Nothing wrong with that.
Believe in well, you know, it's a matter of age. So, but what I think is necessary is to be able to put the context around the business together, and I'll share with you what I mean by that. And then to build the relationship. Just don't come to me and say, hey, listen, I have a deal. Listen, here's what I have. I want to understand what the company does. I want to hear our company, you know, the blankety blank company uses this technology or these new processes to focus on this kind of business. The reason why I'm interested, because I was involved, my brother-in-law had cancer, I want to cure cancer. You know, I've been working on this project for a long time because it's, you know, I don't know what to do with my Pez dispensers, so we'll develop eBay or something like that. But I want to understand the context. Who are you going to go after? What the business is about? What your underlying advantages, be it people, process, or technology, because that's really the three major vectors, and why you're different than the major competitor out there. And don't tell me you don't have competition. I fell into that trap as an engineer and as a product developer. And even when I was more mature, let's put it that way, I still fell into that trap because I didn't realize that competition comes in from various angles. There's existing direct competition, there's competition that's oblique, and there's competition that you don't know about, but somebody may have that potential. So I need to understand that. The second thing I'd like to see, so it's not one thing, I'd like to see more.
We'll let you buy with a couple things.
Huh?
We'll let you buy with a couple things, David.
Yeah, I know. I can't help that. That's a New York. That's my New York charm, I guess. I don't know what. But anyway, the point is, you don't come to us with a decent team and with a really good plan, and know your business really well. And if you don't have the answer, say I don't have the answer. Don't shoot from the hip. Don't be overly solicitous. Don't be overly arrogant. We see a lot of people saying, don't trust me, I know what I'm doing. Well, if we don't know you, we're not going to trust you. Now, if you're Elon Musk, yeah, maybe that'll work. But if you're David Friedman, probably won't work as well. So the team is really the critical thing, product market fit, but most of all, early on when I'm trying to understand it, context. That elevator pitch, that 30 seconds or 45 seconds is really crucial, because I won't understand it otherwise. But if you tell me it in those terms, either I or one of my colleagues will get it, will understand it, and that'll be a really good start. And we can help you.
Okay, that's fantastic. David, you've shared some great insight. I appreciate your time. Time is so valuable, but I always tell people time is one of the most underappreciated gifts I think we can give. So again, we appreciate your insight, your time, and hopefully the startups that watch this and even other investors, they might be yet newer investors and can all learn from some of the wisdom and knowledge that you just shared. And again, thank you for your time, David.
It's always a pleasure, Jerry. Good to see you, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thanks, David.
Later. Bye.